I guess a lot of people probably don't know the story of Intruders because, well, a lot of people here might, but if you're fairly new to the UFO community, I was living with my parents in Indianapolis, in the suburb part of it, in 1983. I just moved back home with my 2 kids, single mom, trying to figure out what I was going to do with my life. And the day was June the 30th, 1983, and that's burned into my mind and my psyche and will be there forever. And it's like when you saw the Challenger explode or when you heard JFK was shot. It's that kind of day, and it did that kind of thing to me. I mean, I always remember this. I was getting ready to go sew for a neighbor behind us. She was a seamstress who had a sewing business, and I was trying to make a little extra money to help my parents. And I couldn't sew, but I cut out her patterns for her. So I went to her. I was going to go to her house and cut out some patterns. I was standing at the kitchen window washing my hands. So after eating supper, I even remember what I was eating, KFC. I even remember what we ate. I can't remember what I had for dinner 2 days ago, but I remember what I ate that night. As I was standing at the window washing my hands and I looked out, I saw an unusual light in my parents' swimming pool pump house. And I knew that was wrong because I had been out there earlier because I helped with the maintenance of the pool. And I also, something about the light was wrong. It wasn't a normal shade of light, like it wasn't incandescent. It was different. It had more blue to it, and it was lighter, brighter, whiter. And it struck me odd. I kind of stopped a minute. And I mentioned to Mom that there's a light in the pump house. She says, "Oh, your father will get it." I said, "Okay." I said, I feel kind of weird, and I asked her, I don't have to go tonight. And she's like, "No, go ahead, I'm fine." So I left, and the way the house is made, it's a tri-level. In the driveway, when you come down the drive, you can either go this way in front of the garage, or you can go this way and go down the side of the house. And there's a big turnaround in the back because Dad has a workshop back there. And then between the workshop and the turnaround is the pool and then the back of the house. So I thought, I'll go down and make a quick loop before I leave, just to make sure. So I did. And when I did, which was only maybe 5 minutes later, that light was gone. And I thought, well, that's weird. And the pool pump house door was closed, and the door to the pedestrian garage was now open, which I knew that was closed. We'd been keeping our dog in there because she was in heat, and we didn't want puppies. So I thought a minute, and then I went ahead and went on to Deanna's because it was just one street behind us. And as soon as I got there, I called my mom, and I told her what I saw, and I said, "You want me to come home?" And she said, "No, don't worry about it." My mom was unflappable. She never got scared. She never got, she was like the undrama queen. She never complained, and the opposite of me. But so she, she's like, "Don't worry about it. Your father will be home. He's second shifter at Ford. He's an electrician. So he'll be home shortly, and he'll be home later. We'll be fine. I'll lock the doors. Don't worry." Okay. I hung the phone up, and it rang right away, and I just picked it up instinctively. I answer my friend's phone all the time, and it was my mom, and she said, "I want you to come home right now." First she said, "Debbie," and I said, "Yeah." She said, "I want you to come home right now." I'm like, "What's the matter?" Because she definitely sounded freaked out, and I'd never heard my mom like that. And my friend's husband heard my voice, and he knew something wasn't right, and he said, "Tell your mom to call the sheriff. That's what they get paid for." And she heard him, and she said, "No, I don't want anybody here but you." I said, "Okay." So I hung up the phone. I'm like, "I got to go home. I don't know what's going on." She said, "Well, let me know. And give me a call. Let me know what's going on." I said, "Okay." I went home. It took like a minute. I came back down that side drive where I could go to the turnaround, but I stopped. And I got out. There was a little patio room that Daddy had built. We called it the Florida room because it had a bunch of windows. And Mom was standing in it, and I walked in. There was a trash compactor there. And next to it was a shotgun that Dad stuck there. Now, it was not loaded, and I knew it wasn't loaded. Mom knew it wasn't loaded. She said, "That's not loaded." And I said, "Well, I know, but they don't. Whoever's out there don't know. I can get close enough to them, I can hit them with it, you know." So, and you know what? I'm not a brave person, really. Or I am now. I'm not too scared of much of anything. But then, at 24, 23, I was scared of my own shadow. There was no way I would go out there if I knew there were burglars out there, because that's what I thought, prowlers. I wasn't thinking about UFOs or aliens or anything other than prowlers. So, but I went out there, I walked around, I went to the pump house, I saw nothing amiss. I started to walk back towards the workshop, and I remembered that the door was open, so Penny had to be out here somewhere, so I started calling for her. And I found her under Dad's ladder truck, but she would not come out. She was whining, and I'm like, "Come on, Penny." She was my dog, so the fact she wouldn't come to me kind of weirded me a little. And I went back across the yard, still didn't see anything, and I went into the garage that was attached to the house. And while I looked like Elmer Fudd stalking that wascally rabbit, walking in this garage, there was nothing in there, and there were a box spring and mattress leaned up against the wall. And I thought, well, whoever's in here has got to be behind that mattress. There's no other place that I can look. I could see him. So I stick the gun around, and I'm poking in there, and I got a gun. I'm going to shoot you. And all of a sudden, I felt like I was on fire. I stepped back, and I stopped, and I'm like, what? All my skin felt like it was burning, and I felt like I was on fire. I was all like kind of breathless because it was so intense and so hit me so quickly. And I thought to myself, oh, I got to get out of here. I got to get out of here right now. And I headed towards the pedestrian door. And when I got to the pedestrian door, I got hit right here. It started right here with something that was so intense. I mean, I thought I was dead. My first thought was, oh, God, I'm dead. It was bright. The light was so bright. I know my eyes were closed, but I couldn't get away from it. Every molecule of my body was vibrating. I could feel myself as each individual atom vibrating. And I couldn't move. And this intense electricity spread from my center, my chest and arms, down my legs. I couldn't move. And it felt like time stopped. Because in retrospect, to remember how I felt when that happened, there's no way on earth I could have withstood that for more than a second. But it seemed like time stopped. And I'm not sure how long I stood there like that. The intensity quickly dropped off. The vibrating slowly stopped. The light faded, but I couldn't move. And I couldn't see very well. It was like I got, flash bulbs in the eyes. And I had all these spots in my vision now, and I couldn't see details. I could see movement and big things, and it was dark outside in front of me, sort of. It was dark out by that time. There were house lights in the back, but there was a ball of light about 20 or so feet in front of me, because I was, at this point now, I'm out on the patio in front of the doorway, which I don't remember how I got there, even now, 30 years later. But this ball of light, maybe 20 or 30 feet in front of me, it was about the size of a basketball. It was a very soft light, but again, kind of a weird bluish white, real clean white. I called it clean white. And it moved down really slow and to the ground, and then right back up to about my height. And I got the distinct impression it was looking at me. That time I saw movement off to my left, and I could see what looked like about 6 children in the yard and different points around this large backyard. And I saw them moving, and they kind of glided into a line, and then they started to glide down towards me, but off to my left. And that's when I looked over and I saw this other thing. In retrospect, I can't call it a ship because it was small. It was egg-shaped. Maybe 10 feet tall, maybe 8 or 10 feet at the diameter, but kind of went down smaller. And honestly, I don't even think it was touching the ground, but I can't say for sure because it kind of bobbled a little weirdly every now and then to give me the impression that it wasn't quite solid. These things moved into it. Well, even as small as they were, there's no way 6 bodies can fly, 50 billion miles in this little thing. They'd be like all over each other. We called it a UFO because we didn't know what it was. Now, I believe it was some kind of a portable bridge or a portal or something. It was something, and it was portable, a piece of technology that could be moved from place to place and used to travel to some other place. But not like getting into a ship and flying away. It's different.